have the great pleasure of introducing one of the sponsors of HR Tech Alliances and this Partner Ecosystem Expo with our Chile, Vinay Johar. So Vinay, would you please tell us a little bit about our Chile and then share with us about the next session, Martin and the UKG team.
Thank you, Ezra, and thanks, Ward, for organizing such a wonderful session. When people say maybe we are sponsoring, I always wondering it's a supporting each other or it's only sponsorship. For me, it's a supporting each other. Let me share you a little bit about our Chile. So we are a most trusted partner for providing parsing, matching, and data normalization services. And currently, we are working with more than 14 HR tech unicorns around the world. And we work like fully integrated models like working with Phenom, Seekout, Darwinbox, or even few speakers earlier. Sorry, we have NDA. I can't take their names, but they were here in the session. Or we work with entirely through marketplace models, which is Oracle, Salesforce, Power Automate, or many other platforms where market registration is there. Idea is to have this wonderful AI solution, which is backed by TensorFlow, or nowadays ChatGPT has more impact, but GRAD is coming up to counter that. So we are here to provide this AI solutions which can be embedded globally. Even from my side, I'm more excited to, especially for the next session, which is partnering with UKG, when we wish to understand how we can partner with the UKG as our provider and support their global customer. Coming to the session, I would love to, that's my honor to introduce UKG at the next session, which is partnering with UKG. And I know Martin, I think, met a couple of times in HR Tech events. So Martin, he's a part of global alliances at UKG. I always wonder, he has spent almost 9 years with UKG, and that makes him a perfect person to know, especially for partnerships. He knows all the teams, he knows all the products, and he's open to listen to your story and recommend you, hey, this is the way you should be going, and you'll get your things done. And we all excited, Martin, to partner with UKG and listen to your story and guidance on how we can go ahead and partner with the wonderful UKG platform. All 3 platforms, what I'm talking here. Over to you, Martin. Thank you very much.
Hi, well, it's a pleasure being here, and thank you so much for having me and inviting me. So thank you for the great introduction, and I get the pleasure to actually introduce 3 fantastic people who I had the pleasure to work with in many different capacities. So today, from a partner perspective, we have on Marc Ramos from SplashBI, as well as Liakos from Trusaic. And then last but not least, we have Bob Jaworski from eQuest. And Bob, for me, has always kind of illustrated how close our community is. Nearly 20 years ago, we worked together at Connect and IBM, and actually Christian used to work there too, and Ward used to work there too. So it's a very close community. And I met Bob when I went through my very first global implementation project, and he worked on the eQuest integration. So I think that's the kind of the fun part about our space, is we get to know a lot of people, and it is a close community. And I just appreciate so much when I go through the attendee list and see so many familiar names and so many familiar companies. And overall, I'm just very thankful for everybody just spending a little bit of time with me and our partners, just to learn a little bit more about what UKG can do, but what also our partners are able to do. So with that, if you have any questions, definitely feel free to add the question in the chat. I'm hoping to have at the end a little bit of time, so we can have a little bit of time to go through the questions on the chat and do some live dialogue too. So essentially, you didn't come here to hear me get on a started and talk about the last 20 years of my life, because they're not that exciting. But we were here to take a deeper look into what UKG Technology Partner Program is. And it is totally a unique program. And if you've ever worked with anybody in our Global Alliances group, you'll notice it's a very special group of people that really drives that program forward. So I think that alone is very unique to who we are, but also in regards to what our program entails. So with that, we're going to dive into the program and look at the different components of it. We are also going to have a look at what do we look for in partners. That's a pretty important part, because partners makes up our entire program. And then after that, we're going to briefly touch on to how to apply to be a partner. And as a whole organization, DEMB is very near and dear to us. So because of that, we will also provide some insight into our Diversity Accelerator program, as well as other initiatives that we have and are going to embark on. And during the last part, we have 3 of our partners, eQuest, Trusaic, and SplashBI, and they will provide an overview in regards to who they are, what they do, but also in regards to how these partners can positively impact our customers from a DEIB efforts. So UKG has a lot of solutions and has a lot of partners for every single step in the candidate and employee lifecycle, from hire and retire. And that's something I'm going to highlight along the way. So with that, let's dive into the program. So UKG's product suite modern technology stack allows us to extend, deploy real-time data and exchange and innovate while we're expanding your UKG platform capabilities. So the UKG Suite platform extensibility allows employees and managers to work in the natural workspaces and deliver a more complete end-to-end solution for all of our customers and our resources. And for the Technology Partner Program, we've established a formal validation process that includes a review of performance and security standards so that our customers can deploy partner solutions with confidence, as well as ensuring the integrations are functional and well documented and maintained. And that is of the utmost importance to everybody involved. So our partners, UKG, as well as our customers and the employees. And you notice that there's some components that I highlight a few times throughout the presentation. That is one of them, because we've noticed that there are certain components that are really part of the overall receipt for success. That's one of the reasons why I highlight that along the way. But our overall goals are for all partnerships to drive mutual success. So the key to this is working together and ensuring we put the needs of all parties as a priority on the table. And that really is all parties. And our partners enable us to extend our product capabilities, facilitate integrations, and deliver UKG branded solutions. There are various aspects to this. So a big part of that is having partners such as cloud connectors to help build integrations for our partners and customers, as well as support our go-to-market strategies. The importance here really lies with collaborating with each other. And that's one thing I've always been very proud of our partners is we work with our partners, we're very transparent with our partners, and our partners really return that respect to us. So it's been a great journey from my perspective through Global Alliances, working with pretty much every partner in our program. But our main goal really is to grow a strong technology partner ecosystem while creating opportunities for our partners, customers, as well as support our sales, product, and corporate strategy. We have a very strict set of criteria to control the quality of partners that are entering the program. And we invest a lot in attracting and onboarding our partners and ensuring that everybody has a clear vision to success. And that's one of the corner pieces of our program to make sure that together we will be able to be successful. So what do we look from partners? I mean, there are a set of criteria, and the criteria are listed here, and I'll go through them, that we typically look from partners, keeping in mind that there's always going to be variances. And that's kind of the fun part about our spaces, is that there's a lot of change. That change is constant. And with that, the criteria sometimes changes with it too. But in general, what we look at is size of organization. So the size is important because the company needs to have a sufficient enough size to match up to UKG sales and customer profiles. So general rule of thumb we look at is 10 employees or less. Typically, we start running into constraints. But that's it. It's just a general rule. We also look at the history of the organization. So how long have you been in business? What line of business you are in? What line of business are you in now? The history of principals and their roles. And then we also look at joint customers. And the joint customer part is in itself a very unique part, because it's kind of fun exercise to find out who are our joint customers, what industries do they fall in. But we've noticed in the past that joint customers has pretty much always been one of the building blocks to get onto a proven path to success. And that's one of the things that we also focus on with partners when they come on board, is this to find really a lot of joint customers and then build that out. And then that kind of leads us into other education pieces, such as win stories or success stories. That's educational from an internal perspective as well as from an external perspective. The history of delivered integrations. So we want to make sure that the integrations were delivered in a functional manner, that they're maintained. That overall, and that's also one of the kind of the recurring themes you will hear, is a very important part of our partnership program, because for technology partners, the integration is a prerequisite to be a partner. So we build it out together, but we also go through a very strict process in regards to getting it validated, making sure it's functional. We run through tests, we document it, but then we also help our partners to keep them maintained. And we have a whole tech team that will be able to assist with that. But from a new partner perspective, we look at the history to see if that kind of aligns with that philosophy. We also look at if somebody is an industry leader. So is the company being a forerunner in the category, or maybe even a new category? And then one aspect that we focus on a lot is innovation. So that's one thing that we pride ourselves on, is being very open-minded, inclusive, and we have some very innovative partners in our space. Just to name one example, we have Divest as a partner, and they focus on really providing the infrastructure for UKG'S to be effective within the company. It's a very fascinating area. So with that, aligning with the UKG strategy is very important. So from a sales strategy perspective, we look at how can partners fill common product gaps, extend industry-specific capabilities, as well as generate rev share to support compensation. And we have an amazingly robust suite here at UKG, but it is pretty much impossible to be best in everything. And that's where our partners come in, and they help us get closer to perfection. From a product strategy perspective, we focus on how can we fill gaps fast and add capabilities. So we have a very strong focus on DEI&B and the overall employee experience and artificial intelligence, and that's reflected in our roadmap. And for our partners, we provide insight into this roadmap and the strategy to really help avoid collision. And we've been building that out more and more to enable partners really to have a longer term view in regards to what is coming on our roadmap, what is our vision. So we have quite a few educational sessions that we go through with our partners to really provide that insight. And from a corporate growth perspective, we ask our partners to support our corporate growth strategy, as well as identify with the UKG values. And as I mentioned before, we here at UKG, we believe this is a special culture, and you see that reflected in our marketing. And having an understanding of those core values in our culture helps partners to get more closely aligned with us, but it also helps from a networking perspective. So we've closed categories in some areas for new entry. There are some, as a general rule, some exceptions that we make. So for example, if you have a partner that has disruptive capabilities or has a strong vertical differentiator that's in demand by our customers, typically we make exceptions. So example for that is, let's say we have a learning management platform and they're very dominant in the industry and they're not a partner yet. That's when we typically reevaluate those closed categories. But in general, the categories that are listed on the slide, we consider closed. And that includes applicant tracking systems for job boards, social collaboration as a standalone tool, financial wellness, pay cards, and EWA, learning management, most iPaaS connector solutions, analytics reporting, performance management, and rewards and recognition. And at a pretty fairly frequent interval, we have a look at these categories to see, do we need to reopen any categories or do we need to close any additional categories? So that's part of the exercises we go through several times a year. But with that, it also gives us the opportunity, because we are also continuously looking at our categories, and we look at where is there a strong interest, maybe we expressed by sales, by our customers. It really comes from different channels, but Right now, the areas we're looking at are mentoring and sponsorship solutions, contingent labor and gig work solutions, industry-specific workforce management solutions. I think it's any solution that supports our customers' initiatives in the DEI and B space. So maybe from a hiring perspective, a development perspective, really any stage along the employee life cycle. And then we're also looking at AI solutions. So how to apply? That's pretty much the easiest part is applying, because the only two things you would have to do. The first thing is you would email Jerry, and his email address is on the slide. And Jerry's on the chat. He's an amazing person, and he makes the whole process seem so seamless, even though there's obviously some complexity behind it. But you just want to drop him a note to express your interest, and then after that, you want to fill out the application form. So that too is on the deck, hyperlink in it. It's just a basic form where we collect some basic information just to get to know you a little bit better. And then after that, we'll reach out to you and guide you through the whole process. And the team's amazing in that. I mean, they make it seem so seamless. But essentially, it contains 4 major steps. The first part's initial call. So we have a look at your solution, discuss our program, and just make sure that everybody has clear expectations in regards to the program. The second part will be a tech core. So it'll be a high-level integration scope and looking at if it's even feasible. The third part is a pretty standard component, a 30-part risk assessment. So we look at information security and a privacy review. And the last part is typically the funnest part is the contracting piece. So that too, Jerry will guide you through it. Makes it seem so easy, even though it's not. But after the contracting piece, we have a whole onboarding process that we send partners through. And the feedback we've gotten in the past has just been amazing. So the Diversity Accelerator Program, and from now I'm going to refer to as DAP, because it's a long name and I mentioned the name quite a few times, but the DAP was put in place to support UKG's corporate commitment to DEI and B, whilst investing in our partners and support those initiatives through their own leadership, through their ownership, and those solutions. And we here at UKG, we have an amazing DEI and B team that's headed by Brian Reeves. And the fun part about this program is we get to work very closely with that team, and that creates a lot of opportunities. And along the way, we also get to learn a lot from each other. So it's driven us and UKG and our partners in very innovative spaces. And it's made us think in creative ways to really get the message out. And that program overall, the reception by partners and by customers and internally has just been phenomenal. And the program has become a very important part of UKG's technology partner program. So the DAP partners enjoy a whole series of benefits that range from additional development for technical, operational, and marketing support. And there are too many examples to really list. So just to kind of bring you a few specific examples, we have an annual conference. In 2022, we called it Aspire. And what we did there is we created a booth just for DAP partners. And they were able to essentially be in the booth, talk to our customers, talk to our internal resources. And they were able to do that no charge. So there was no sponsorship tied to it. And the traffic to that booth was just amazing. It exceeded all of our expectations. We thought it was amazing how many customers went just to talk and educate themselves. And most of all, the feedback we had gotten in regards to the quality of the discussions was really overwhelming. So a lot of customers saw it as a really big value add, being able to put something like that in place. And that all came from the DAP program. In addition to that, any DAP partner is also able to participate in our global alliances advisory board. So I personally value the advisory board a lot because it is a forum for our partners to really have open and honest discussions on various different topics. And it helps drive innovation. And it really, in the end, helps us all become better. And from our last meeting, we had a series of different action items, which really added a lot of value to our program. And the nice thing is we take those items, we take them to heart, and we actually put them into reality. And then we go through the whole exercise again. So it's a continuous way for us to collect feedback, but also improve ourselves. Another example is every DApp partner gets a complimentary Trusaic video. So if you're not familiar with Trusaic, it's basically a whiteboarding video. And the nice part about that is it's a very simplistic and a very engaging way to present the core message of the solution and value proposition to customers. So we make sure that those partners have the opportunity to participate in that. And then we also make those videos available for our customers. So outside of the DApp program, the MVP program, which will be the majority of partners that will be in, has a lot of different benefits in it. So from a development standpoint, you get tenant access. So the nice thing there is if you have a tenant you can play around with, you can do demos on. Just overall, it helps us, so us, UKG, the customer, you as a partner, to really provide a more solid solution and integration. And with that, we also provide engineering and architectural support. And our tech team has been phenomenal in the past. And we do partner surveys on a business basis, and the feedback is always great on the team. They're very responsive. And our general philosophy is we will run as fast as our partner wants to run. But then we also provide you with other elements such as LMS access. So if you want to learn a little bit more about UKG, our solutions, we provide you with all those tools. But then we also do data seeding. From an operational standpoint, we help you navigate the global support structure. So we already, when we bring partners on board, go through a pretty rigorous process in regards to documenting it, in regards to explaining to you how our support structure works. But then part of my role too is helping you navigate that entire arena. And then we also have a partner community, so you're able to learn from each other. And then this one I probably already mentioned quite a few times, but the solutions are all validated. So we go through a cadence of a demonstration, making sure the integration works, it's fully functional, making sure that the documentation exists. So we document the integrations to make sure that everybody has a pretty realistic idea in regards to what the integration entails, but then we also have that then for future reference. And then in addition to that, we ensure that everything is maintained in a well way. So we work with our partners to work on that maintenance aspect. From a marketing perspective, we do a whole lot of things. I mean, there's just 4 bullet points here, but we go through the go-to-market resources. We have a marketplace, so we build a marketplace listing. There's a press release support, logo use, but the nice thing about our team is our marketing team is very creative and we're very open to ideas. So a lot of times when partners approach us or we have more innovative ideas or more creative ideas, we have that flexibility to really pull it off. So additional DIMB initiatives. So I kept this pretty vague on purpose because there are a lot of things to do in that space and it is continuously evolving. Alone this year, we have several programs rolling out in addition to what we already have. But one thing that we focus on is recognition. And the recognition is an immensely important aspect of it. So we recognize technology partners that promote DIMB initiatives. So we work on creating the marketing collateral, creating webinars, creating partner showcases, so that technology partners can essentially explain to everybody what do they do in the space, what is the impact, how do customers basically receive value from it. And that recognition piece is just one part of the overall education of every UKer, but then also indirectly of every customer that we have. The second part of that is the customer insights. So we need to make sure UKers are educated, but then we also need to get the message to customers. And that's why we provide customers with tools to find the right partners for the right scenario. So maybe they're going through hiring and they want to have a more diverse candidate population, or maybe they want to look at the pay and see if it is really evaluated in a correct way. And that's the part where we have a series of different tools available for customers. We have essentially content packs where they can dive through information, learn more about different partners. We have the UKG marketplace where they can look up specific categories, specific areas, or specific partners. We do webinars that are from an informational standpoint. We do a lot of from a social media standpoint. So we use many different channels to get the information out there. And the main goal is really to make the customer understand what is the value and is it the right fit for them. And then the third part we focus on is breaking down boundaries. So I think that part too makes this quite unique. Along when you look at the volume of partners we have over 350 partners in our program. It seems overwhelming initially, but the approach that we've taken is we want to provide customers with a breadth of different solutions in many different categories and help them navigate that in a very efficient and fast manner. And we have partners that really offer very unique and innovative services. So an example for that is we have a partner called Jaworski, and they basically create the infrastructure for ERGs. So the pages, and they help ERGs become more efficient and effective by providing that infrastructure. And we have a lot of partners in the space that are quite unique. And that's one of the parts that we as UKG and global alliances, we work on highlighting so that customers realize what options they have. And the overall idea really is just to build a better workplace and a better world. That overall is part of our mission. So here's some examples. These are not all partners in the marketplace by any means, but they're just some examples of partners in our marketplace. The marketplace really is an essential place for customers to look for specific solutions, but it's also a place for them just to go and expand their horizon and see what might be possible. Our customers can also rest assured that all partners are validated and that we work together to earn and keep their business. Due to the frequent changes in our space, we also quite often update our marketplace. So the nice thing about that is that it really becomes a prime source of information while ensuring the information is up to date. And if we have new partners, they get deployed on the marketplace as soon as the validation is complete and we have all the marketing components in place. But then a partner can also raise a hand and let us know if there's changes. So if maybe the UI changed or the offerings have changed, or they just overall want to refresh the marketplace. And then we work with them to get that done. So the beauty of UKG is, and after nearly 10 years of working here, it still amazes me in regards to how many parts of the employee life cycle we touch. And we really have a solution for pretty much every step along the way for employees. So from hire to retire. And we have robust solutions that really hit the milestones, a candidate experiences, a new hire experience, and employee encounters. But in reality, we can't really touch onto every aspect and every scenario. And that's really where our partners come in. And on the slide, you can see we have 116 different partners for UKG Pro. So it's a pretty good volume. And they operate in various different areas. So they might operate in the background checking area, in analytics, in applicant tracking, expense management, global payroll, and so on. And that's where we really deliver a lot of value to customers by having such diverse partners, but giving them also the options to be able to select based on the differentiating factors and based on the strengths of the different partners. But we also take this a step further because we have a vision of creating a better workplace, a better world. And one part of this is having partners that really help us with strategic initiatives and missions, such as DEI&B. And we have partners for various different steps in the life cycle of an employee that help customers make a positive impact in the space, in the employees, and just overall in the environment. And we want people to feel like they belong and that they want to go to work feeling that they're not just among work colleagues, but also amongst friends. We want people to get out of bed and get excited about going and being part of that overall journey of the company. And we want everybody to know they're equal. That's just part of the equation is this. Our partners are part of that recipe for success to achieve those things. And we have many partners that help customers achieve their DEI&B goals. So with that, I invited 3 partners to join us just to kind of highlight A, how special these partners are, but also B, how they can be impactful in that space. And with that, probably you need a break from me talking, because I've talked quite a bit. So I want to introduce to you Bob and eQuest to you. And I had the pleasure to work with many customers that use eQuest. And it always amazes me, even after 20 years, how expansive the capabilities are and also how large the global footprint is. But with that, I will turn it over to Bob.
Thank you, Martin. Appreciate the opportunity. So just a little bit briefly on eQuest and what we do. And as far as partnering with UKG, we've actually been a partner with them for, I think we're pushing 10, 11 years. So we're actually partners. If we can back up a little bit. We are partners with UKG on their pro and ready side. So that would be one of the pieces of advice was, look across their product footprint and tie into multiple places. Our role, it's really from the product side that Martin had mentioned. It's how do we extend their footprint? And it's really the ability for UKG to integrate to eQuest to reach thousands of job sourcing locations globally. So instead of UKG building out that functionality, which we have 28 years in the business to build out those networks, through this one integration into their products, now all of their customers can really advertise their job content anywhere in the world. That's kind of our claim to fame. And we've also stayed in that lane. We're very careful not to overlap with our partners' products. We've seen other people in the industry start to kind of get a lot of product overlap. It's a quick way to get kicked out of a partner ecosystem. So the other piece of advice would be kind of stay in your lane where you're adding value and be careful about overlapping with your partners or the footprint, their product footprint. So you jump to the next one, Martin. The next piece is one of the things we did, really a nice job with UKG, is addressing multiple partner segments. When we first started the partnership with them, it was really kind of one product, a one-trick pony. If you can back up to that one. What we did is we revised that over the last few years and went and looked at the different buyers in the UKG products and then address those with different pieces of our solution. So the ability, if you're just a value shopper, fine, you can just activate one piece of the partnership, one piece of technology, all the way up to a more sophisticated partner like a federal contractor that requires OFCCP compliance. We can cover that off. So it was also working across the partner or across the different organizations. We have relationships in product management, sales, the alliances team, the regional sales engineering groups, even their events team. And that's kind of the benefit of it is having, I say, personal relationships in those different groups has really allowed us to build kind of a big, nice, tight partnership alliance with UKG that we've had in place for those dozen or so years. Next one, Martin. The other part is how do we support them on their DEI front? And for us, it's all about job distribution. It's allowing the UKG recruiting customers to be able to access talent pools that are kind of out of the norm. Everybody understands I can go recruit at LinkedIn or Indeed. So is every other employer out there. So it's very competitive. So what we'd work with them is the ability to give their customer base a solution that allows them to not only access national diversity, veterans organizations, disabled persons, but do that on a local level. So we went out and created this really huge network. It's thousands and thousands of sites and organizations. Some of them may be local organizations that maybe have 100 people, but when we put them all together, we took this radius approach. So we worked with UKG. We can pull in a job look at its location, and then say, all right, we'll go 50 miles of that radius and take that content and push it out to all these different organizations. And it really created a nice way for UKG customers to access talent pools that they might not be able to get to. So we kind of supporting their DEI initiative and then flowing that down through to customers. So it on my side, Martin.
All right, perfect. I think one amazing part of all of this is I still think back to the times where we filled out a piece of paper when we applied for jobs and how far we've come in the last 2 decades. So it's it's amazing. But we also have another partner with us, Trusaic. So Trusaic really embodies the whole idea of DEI and B, and it also touches onto many steps of the employee cycle. So Trusaic offers ERC and WOTC during the recruiting stage, but then also various services such as pay equity services for employees. So for every employee, pay is an important component. I mean, it helps feed our families, it provides opportunities, and the impact that Trusaic makes, can make on companies and employees is just fascinating. So with that, I will let Christian from Trusaic dive a little bit deep into it. So Christian, if you don't mind taking over.
Thanks, Martin. And then just before I kind of dive into this, I just wanted to just point out that one of the processes that we went through when we were looking to partner with a large global HCM provider is we wanted to make sure that they were aligned to what we were doing as a company. We were transitioning to a DEI company, and it was clear to us that UKG was leading that with their DEI and B initiative, and just the innovation and the things and the programs that they've been putting in place. As Martin had said, the DAP program, working with Martin and Jerry and Mike May and Matt Hammock and some of the marketing resources, Natasha. It's been a great experience, and it's really helped us because we are in the infancy stage of DE&I and B, and it's just going to continue to evolve. So with that said, we've started our partnership with DEI and B, and as Martin had mentioned, we have some other services that we're starting to tie in and wrap into partnership as well. So there's a lot of flexibility. So I just kind of stress to everyone that don't think that you just come in and flip a switch and everything happens. You have to follow the process. They have a process in place and they have a structure in place that if you follow that, you're going to see rewards, and there's going to be a nice relationship that you build from the ground up. With that said, how are we supporting both UKG and the clients from a DEI perspective? It's with our pay parity solution, which for those of you that don't know, there's a difference between a pay gap and pay disparity. A pay gap is okay. There might be a justification for why there's a pay gap between employees' pay. A pay disparity is really where that legal risk is. So, HCMs do a good job of identifying pay gaps, which are alerting customers to an issue. And then that's when we come in and we do a pay equity audit with our software to find the root cause, and then obviously reduce and limit the risk exposure for the company, help them with the short-term and long-term remediation of that disparity so that you can close that gap. In addition to that, we also help support the diversity by tracking on a monthly trend, analyzing the scores, the representations, pay quartiles. We're really trying to help alleviate any type of wage compression and things of that nature. Again, this also goes into similar kind of focus for UKG, is building that culture of inclusion, and we're providing and helping provide equal opportunities across hiring, promotion, because this is what not only employees want, but also job candidates want. They want to know that they're working for a company that is following true to this path of DEI and B. They want to know, are you paying fairly? Are you being paid transparent with your pay? And then of course, compliance. Compliance is a big thing for Trusaic. We follow and we've built the tool to support US and international pay equity regulations across the board. Sorry, I was hoping Amazon wasn't coming during this, but and then I think there's one more slide. And then I just wanted to kind of touch on, why would organizations want to do DE&I? Why is that important? Why is it important to do pay equity? Because one, from an employee standpoint, over 80% of employees are more productive and engaged when they know they're being paid fairly. And then from a leading organizations, 32% of the leading organizations their ability to attract and recruit top talent improves because they have that branding. There's awareness that this is a company that believes in DEI and pay equity. And then from a job seeker standpoint, again, you know, over 76% of job seekers believe in a diverse workforce, and it's important to them when they're considering a job offer. And just also organizations and companies that they can go to that embrace pay transparency.
Perfect. Thank you, Christian.
Of course, they're quiet now that I'm done. But.
Well, for me, the next part is in the analytics space. And for me, analytics has always been really interesting. So for my entire career, that has always been part of what I've done in an indirect way. And I think analytics is an important part for most organizations, and it helps them grow, and it provides insight behind the scenes. And SplashBI has very innovative ways of seeing data, and their focus is on solving data-related challenges. So being able to pull data from every stage of the employee lifecycle, enabling companies to not just understand employees and their motivations better, it is also to show them what areas are they doing well in regards to DEI and B, but also what areas might need some more attention. And most impressive is really that the whole concept is really embedded in SplashBI's culture. So it's been a lot of pleasure getting to know everybody in the SplashBI side, also getting to know their culture. But Marc, why don't you give us a little bit more insight?
Yeah, thank you for that, Martin. So I'd just like to start off by not only thanking you, Martin, and UKG, but also the HR Tech Alliance and all of our folks on the line. Hopefully you can hear me okay. My name is Marc Ramos, and SplashBI, we're a relatively new partner to the UKG market space. And this, we used Aspire last November as our big coming out party. It was a lot of fun getting to know the team and getting to know the clients. And from the outside looking in, you know, I look at organizations and what makes their partner programs successful. And I can say that working with Martin and the UKG team is because they focus on the clients, and that laser focus on the client's needs, that allows them to pull in the right partners to address those needs. And in the end, clients are really receptive to the message because it's a full solution that has been vetted and meets their needs specifically. And also, I will add that because they focus on the clients, they also, in turn, work hand in hand with the partners at every level to make sure that the solutions can get to market and get in their clients' hands as quickly as possible. And so that's just kind of my experience as a new partner in the community. In our journey through this partnership, and you can go to the next slide, Martin, we basically have the ability to deliver reporting and analytics with UKG Pro, with UKG Telestaff, Dimensions, as well as Ready. And Martin touched on it earlier, the validation process to go through all of that. Sorry, on my end, there's an ambulance going by. Going through that validation process, as Martin said, could be as fast or as efficient as you want it to be. And I was amazed that when we went through the UKG Pro validation with SplashBI, I think we did that in about 4 weeks. The team on both sides worked together and hammered that out, and we started to tell that story very quickly into our partnership. Dimensions was just a few weeks more than that, and I think Telestaff was about the same, and we're about wrapped up with Ready as well. So that's, just know that they will provide the resources necessary and the communication necessary to move as quickly as you want to validate that solution so that the clients can get their hands on it rather quickly. And in our case, it's rapid deployment of reporting and analytics and dashboards, all while leveraging that UKG security. And because they can validate quickly, then it becomes a trusted solution for the user base. Go ahead, Marc. Next slide, please. And then as our clients, both mutual, are going through this reporting and analytics journey, their next step is, okay, we have all of this great UKG data. What about if we want to bring in data from outside of UKG? Maybe it's financial data, maybe it's sales and marketing data. Well, because of this partnership, UKG now has the ability to offer a full enterprise-wide solution for any and all of their reporting and analytics needs, and the clients love it. It's a one-stop shop, and they buy it all through UKG. They're incredibly happy, and they get everything in one place. And then go ahead and go to the next slide. We'll wrap up and talk about this particular use case, and that's DEI and B. And before we even started the discussions with UKG, a lot of our clients asked for a variety of ways to look at, hey, how are our recruiting practices? Is there any biases within our recruiting practices? Are we promoting and are we developing a diverse workforce? Well, a lot of that data is in your core HR data, is in the various systems that may or may not be disparate, but we've gone through that journey with a lot of our clients, and it did my heart well knowing that this was a big initiative for UKG as well. So it was a perfect blend for a use case. And I'd like to say the first few conversations we've been on with UKG clients, this is where they wanted to start. They were headcount, turnover, performance, all of that was great, but they wanted to start with the ability to see where they are excelling or where opportunities could exist in their DEI and B initiatives. And this by itself kind of tells that story. And we look forward to continuing the journey with you, Martin, and the rest of the team. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Marc. Well, I wanted to point out one additional item before we wrap everything up. So we have a lot of great partners in our program, and our goal really is to lift each other up. And if you haven't registered yet, Cloud Connect is a session tomorrow at 5 p.m. So I would suggest, and I was not supposed to go forwards, but I would suggest registering for it and just learning a little bit more about that partner. And the fun part is it's just a Q&A session. So it'll be very informative and educational. So as I said, if you haven't had a chance to register for it yet, I would. It's tomorrow at 5 p.m. But overall, the whole theme that we really are following is this building a better workplace and a better world. And I hope this all was helpful, informational. My goal was to be done at 11:50 and it's 11:47. So very few times in the world you actually get a presentation done in time and you're not running over. But that gives us time for a few questions. So do you want to see if there are any questions that came up in the chat we should highlight?
Yeah, thank you, Martin and Christian and Bob and Marc. Really great insights and give us a very clear picture of what UKG is doing in the partner world and supporting DEI and B initiatives. One question that came up, and please everybody just use the chat or unmute yourself, and we encourage the conversation and the dialogue. One thing, Martin, that popped up, you had mentioned earlier in terms of looking at new partners, you'll review the overlap in terms of customers. Are there any, I'm sure it's not a precise number, but are there any rules of thumb that you look for in terms of the number of mutual customers that a company might have that would be interesting to UKG to bring them into the partner program? Is there any kind of guidance you can give there in terms of how many mutual customers would be qualifying to become a partner of UKG?
There's not necessarily a specific number that will qualify someone to become a partner. We've had partners from where we didn't have mutual customers, and they just had a very innovative solution, something we knew would be impactful for our customers from a sales perspective or customer success perspective. So there's no specific number we run on. The reason why we look at that, and it's of great interest for us, is because it shows that customers already see a joint value of having our solution and the potential partner solution. So it's an indicator, but it's definitely not a requirement where a certain number has to be reached.
Excellent, thank you. And continue to raise your hand on the Zoom or put in the chat. One thing, Marc called out the integration with different parts of UKG, Pro, Dimensions, etc. When you're a partner, does that cover the different product sets, or do you consider yourself a partner for one and not the other? Could you just elaborate on that a little bit, if you don't mind?
That's a really interesting question, and unfortunately, the answer is going to be a little lengthy. So we have a lot of solutions. I mean, we have overall suites. So we have UKG Pro, we have UKG Ready, we have Dimensions, but then we also have tailored stuff. And then within them, I'm just going to use UKG Pro as an example. We have the different modules. So we have recruiting, onboarding, employee voice. So when we work with partners, the thing we're looking at is what markets do they solve? And that kind of helps align us to those overall suites. But then also, what does a solution do? What industry do they operate in? And that helps us kind of roam onto the different solutions. Our main goal is this really go through an evaluation process to make sure that the development effort is worth having the integration in place. So we kind of walk through those on a case-by-case basis with partners. In general, we are open to pretty much anything you would like to integrate with, but we do have a discussion on it, because the last thing we want to do is just have you invest a lot of development resources and time and money for something that might not flourish.
That's excellent. Thank you. And Martin and the team, could you also, there was a question that popped up in terms of the global footprint. Is UKG mostly just focused on employer operations in the US, or is there also exposure to companies that are not US in their HR operations?
So as a blanket statement, we are global, but it does vary by solution. So UKG Pro, the primary focus is North America. UKG Ready would be more of a global footprint. We're pretty heavy represented in EMEA, but also in the US. Dimensions, the same. And then we actually have a standalone solution called HRSD. It used to be PeopleDoc, a French company. And that solution is also pretty much global. So it varies by the solutions. It also varies when you look at the different suites by the module. But that's part of my role, and everybody in our team is just really helping partners to navigate that and get a good understanding.
That's great. That's great. What other questions, attendees for Martin, Christian, Bob, Marc, come to mind?
Yeah, this Ward, I'll ask a question around the corporate focus on DEIB, and that's something you rallied the partners around to bring today. And it's an amazing story, and it's great to see the contributions. And there's certainly a lot more, I think, from a cultural fit and just corporate responsibility, that people are wondering, well, how many customers do you need to have to become a partner, right? And there's practical questions, but at the end of the day, something that's always impressed me about, I've known Ultimate Software more so than Kronos team, but just really looking to collaborate with good citizens in the community. And I jokingly put something in the chat about, being a member of the HR Tech Alliances community, but we all are, right? We're all citizens of this HR industry, and there's mostly good players, but there's a few that maybe wouldn't qualify. But yeah, certainly try to emphasize that, right? Connect with people in person at conferences or on Zoom. And even if the category is closed, you combine that with other things like customers, stamping their feet a little bit. Sometimes it loosens up the opportunity. But at the end of the day, I've been impressed with all the different partners they have selected into the program, and this group is certainly world-class. So well done, guys.
Thank you, Ward. And yeah, I can only second that. I mean, I think one of the fun parts of our space is getting to know everybody. And in general, I think everybody in our space is very thirsty for knowledge. So even if it's not inside of a partnership, knowing more about what's in the marketplace in regards to any solution out there, I think pretty much anybody at UKG would value those discussions. So definitely never hesitate to reach out to us. Gary, me, anybody from Global Alliances. We're here to help, no matter what capacity.
And the proper next step for anybody interested would be to follow that, to send Jerry an email, basically, to start the dialogue. Is that right, Martin?
Right. So you want to send Jerry the email and then fill out the application form. If you have any questions in regards to this presentation, definitely feel free to reach out to me. Also, big thank you for HR Tech Alliances for inviting us and letting us talk. And it's amazing. And we've done this a few times. So we always appreciate the opportunity. And thank you so much for all 3 partners that were willing to participate in this. So it's, for me, that's the part that is the funnest for my job is you get to learn on a continuous basis. There's never a time where you really hit that point where there's no more opportunity to learn. But most of all, I mean, in our capacities, in our roles, we get to be very creative and innovative. And that's the part that I appreciate so much about the 3 partners on this call, but also a lot of other partners is, we try new things and hope it works. And if it doesn't, we go back to the drawing board and try it again. And in the end, that takes us to the successful path.